Welcome to Griffin's Gaming Guides. In this video I'm going to show you where you can acquire the Aphelion long gun, which is a reward from Sha'Hala Spectral Guardian of N'Erud, who's the world boss on N'Erud from the Seeker's Rest starting point. However, in order to get the Void Cinder drop from Shahala, you firstly need to go through and find the override pin, which we're going to do now. So when you're in the Timeless Horizon, which will be a biome that always spawns from the Seeker's Rest starting point, you need to make your way through the unnamed temple. Rewind the video a couple of steps if you need to, just that way you can get the map. It doesn't have a name, so there's no actual checkpoint that you can go to. It's just an area that's kind of open in the Timeless Horizon. Make your way through and then take a right down here. It's a secret little area that will then open up the rest of the map in the temple. Now once you find this secret area, it's then just a simple case of following the path all the way through, going up and down the elevators until you get to the override pin. Make sure that you collect it and then go off and collect the 3 Seeker's keys, one of which is at the very start of the Seeker's Rest biome, obviously where you start off your adventure on N'Erud. The other 2 will be locked behind boss fights. So just keep progressing through until you can get yourself into the Sentinel's Keep, where Shahala can be found. So we're just going down in the final elevator now, where at the bottom of it, little way forward, there's going to be the override pin next to a couple of corpses. You need to make sure that you have this, or you're going to get the Eidolon shard for taking down Shahala, which will then allow you to craft the Spectral blade. But obviously, we're not interested in that one. We want one of the best guns in the game. So now that we're in a Sentinel's Keep biome, what you need to do essentially is go through, interact with the console which you use to start the Shahala fight. Use the override pin on the right side of the console, where Shahala will become very angry, smash his way out of the core, where you will then have to deal with one of the toughest versions of a boss in the entire game. Now just while the cutscene's loading up, I just want to warn you that before you use the override pin to initiate the Sha'Hala Spectral Guardian of N'Erud boss fight, you need to make sure that you've done absolutely everything else on N'Erud for your current run, as once you've taken down Shahala after using the override pin, N'Erud will explode, locking you out of every single biome that you've already accessed until you re-roll either campaign or adventure mode. So this can be an incredibly difficult one to actually kind of swallow, that you need to basically sacrifice the entire planet just to get yourself a gun, but needs must. Now this version of Shahala where you use the override pin is incredibly difficult, as you're going to be coming up with lasers, you're going to be coming up against kind of these blue meteor showers. He's also going to be slamming down on you with what I assume is either a foot or one of his arms, some sort of appendage. He slams down into the ground, which can very easily knock half your health off at least. You're going to have tons of lasers, and like I say, it is a very, very nasty fight. If any of you guys have played Resogun from back in the day on PS4, it's a bit similar to that, as you've essentially got a load of items coming at you. You need to avoid pretty much all of them, as if you do get caught up in a combo, it's then going to be straight back to the checkpoint for you. This guy killed me 3 times before I managed to take him down, and obviously I've done every other boss in the game. There's guides up for each and every one of them. I've literally personally done it solo. This guy is incredibly tough. So I'm going to show you the rest of the fight, and once the fight's finished, you're then going to get the Void Cinder as an item you can then take over to McCabe, crafting the Aphelion long gun. I'll come back in at that point. Enjoy the fight. If you do need any other further information or advice, grab me down in the comments or over on Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days, at Griffin's Guides, and I'll help you out where I can. Right, there we go. That looked like fun, didn't it? So we're just finishing up the Sha'Hala Guardian of N'Erud fight now. So we're going to be awarded with the Void Cinder. Now, you won't be able to travel back to Ward 13, as you're essentially just going to be slapped back there from the explosion. Once you're there, make sure that you've got the Void Cinder in your inventory. Then go through, talk to McCabe. Providing you've got 7 Luminite Crystal, 1,000 Scrap, and of course the Void Cinder, you're then going to be able to craft the Aphelion long gun, which is an amazing weapon. Now, there's several reasons why the Aphelion is such a powerful gun. Firstly, you've just had to destroy an entire planet to get hold of this thing, but mostly it fires a wave of energy that's very wide through every single enemy. It doesn't slow down and it doesn't take any kind of limitations in its damage. This thing, on a base damage of level 1, has a damage of 62. So it will fire a wave of energy essentially that does 62 damage to everything that it touches, and it is a very nice wide wave. However, where this thing becomes incredibly overpowered is in its baked in ability called Supernova, where you basically fire the compressed remains of a dying star. On contact or hit with the primary fire, Supernova explodes for 150 fire damage and 350 burning damage over 10 seconds to all targets within 4 meters. Now, you do need to be very careful of your proximity to the Supernova blast, as it will consider you a target within 4 meters. It can very easily put you down. So what you need to do is essentially press your mod button once you've built up enough ability, which will then send out your remains of the dying star. If you then shoot that before it hits an enemy, it will automatically explode. So make sure that you focus fire so that you're not too close. If you fire it and then still try and hit a couple of enemies, given the size of the wave that this thing can shoot, it can very easily knock you on your ass as well as killing a few enemies for you. Now, the Supernova also, striking the Supernova with Aphelion's primary fire increases its explosion radius by 25%, its damage by 50%, and it spawns a massive shockwave that deals 300 fire damage and also applies the initial burning amount. So like I say, you don't want to be anywhere near this Supernova when it goes off. However, make sure there are as many enemies around this thing as possible. Fire around into it and essentially everything's dead. So that's where you can acquire the Aphelion long gun, which is definitely a contender for one of the tougher guns you can get in Remnant 2. Whether or not you use it, of course, is your choice, as is whether or not you want to subscribe to Griffin's Gaming Guides, which, given the difficulty and the amount of time it took to get the Aphelion, I would very much appreciate. But of course, whichever you decide to do, please take care of yourselves out there, enjoy the rest of your day, and I do look forward to seeing you back here at Griffin's Gaming Guides.
Is it over?